What's going on, everyone? Lumaris here. Welcome to week 1 of UGA's Draft League. This season, I will be coaching the Deimos Deoxys, as you can see on screen. This week, we will be facing against Tyros and his Ryukyu Storm. The way this video will be broken up is in the first half, we'll be going over the team builder, my thoughts on his team, what I'd like to bring, and in the second half, there will be post-commentary on the match. Thank you guys for watching, and let's roll the intro. Alright, so looking at Tyros' team, straight off the bat we can see that he has a pretty strong stand core between Tyranitar and Lycanroc. He also has Virizion as a beat-up threat, and his only beat-up user is Kangaskhan. Luxray will provide Intimidate support, and Togekiss is obviously a really big threat with redirection. For the late game, he has Registeel, which for my team will be an incredibly hard wall to break. Looking at his type chart, we can see though, however, he's very fighting weak. His only resistance are going to be Claydol, Togekiss, and Glade. Togekiss obviously being his main redirector to move those fighting type attacks away from threats like Tyranitar or Lapras. Luckily, I have Terrakion, so he's definitely going to be coming this week. If I'm not throwing off a fighting attack into something, rock type attack should do good damage into most of his team. If I'm bringing Terrakion, I definitely need to bring Persian as beat up support. Also could be Icy Wind. And then looking at the rest of his team, so the only thing that resists both of Terrakion's attacks would be Glade, so I'm a little scared about that. I'm also scared about Virizion. If he leads, say, Virizion and Togekiss together, I will have to target down the Togekiss first while Virizion sets up potentially, and my team doesn't do very well into Virizion, so I have to prepare for that. What I want to do to counter that is actually bring Rapidash Galar. The reason why is because I can run Bounce on Rapidash, and if I max it with like coaching or something, it should do pretty good damage into most of his team between Fairy and Flying. The next threat is going to be Registeel. Dealing with that in the back is going to be pretty difficult to break through. My Fire type, Entei, should do a pretty good job, but it's also physical, so if he gets too many Iron Defenses, Sacred Fire is still not going to do too much. Say Iron Defense Rest. For that reason, I also want to bring Dracloak. Reason I'm bringing Dracloak is because if he runs Body Press or Seismic Toss, and usually they run one more Steel move, so it'd be like Body Press, Iron Defense, Iron Head, and Rest is a typical Registeel set. Dracloak can counter all of those, as we will see. Finally, I want to bring Rillaboom. It's really good damage into most of his team, except for Togekiss, really, and Turtonator. But having priority Grassy Glides into Lycanroc if it gets too fast, or Claydol if it wants to go a Trick Room route, is going to be really, really beneficial. Alright, let me take you to the team so you can see what we're looking like. Alright, so starting off with Terrakion, I decided to run Rindo Berry on Terrakion for potential Virizion. If he starts setting up with a Virizion getting a +2 max, Terrakion still should be able to take it and do pretty good damage back with close combat. In fact, I believe if it gets the beat up off successfully, then close combat guaranteed kills a Dynamax Virizion. I'm also running Rock Slide for potentially Togekiss, Protect, just in case, and Coaching. The reason I'm running Coaching is because I'm also bringing Entei and Rapidash Galar this week. And those two are really good they can make really good use of coaching, raising their attack, raising their defense. They're already pretty fast. It'll just make them really difficult to deal with. And Terrakion's going to be the main threat here, so he's going to be targeting down Terrakion, while really Rillaboom or Rapidash can be set up to be sweepers in the end. I'm also bringing Persian Alola. I've decided to run the Roselli Berry on Persian just because it really didn't have a better item, and if I protect Terrakion while it goes for a D-Gleam or something, I can get some chip off on a Togekiss with Power Gem or Burning Jealousy. I decided to run Power Gem on Persian mainly because Togekiss can always live a Dynamaxed Rockfall at neutral if it is max health and max defense, but only if it has the Charty Berry as well. So the theory here is to use Power Gem on Togekiss. It won't do barely any damage, but it'll proc the Charty Berry, so I can pick up the KO with Terrakion afterwards. If it has Charty Berry, which I assume it would, because otherwise I can just Dynamax Rockfall onto Togekiss right off the bat and not have to worry about it. I also have Burning Jealousy just in case Virizion wants to set up and it's faster than me. A burn on it would be really nice. Next, I decided to bring Rillaboom. The Kobo Berry, again, really scared of Virizion. I feel like it's one of his scariest threats. So I put the Kobo Berry to prevent a max Airstream. Grassy Glide, I think it's just pretty much all I'm going to need this game. Into Lycanroc or Tyranitar, Lapras, etc. And U-turn just to get out of there. Fake out for extra support once it comes in. Now Rapidash Galar is my answer to Virizion. I'm going to have Play Rough, which is super effective damage into it, and as well as Bounce. Play Rough is also going to help me prevent burns from any of his support mons in case they want to burn. And I also decided to run Imprison Trick Room in case he tries to do Trick Room shenanigans with like Claydol and Turtonator. I feel like Turtonator's a threat that you really have to respect. Next I brought Entei. Inner Focus will prevent any fake outs from Kangaskhan. And Sacred Fire is really good damage into most of his team. It's very physical, so getting a burn on like Tyranitar, Lycanroc, Virizion obviously would be extremely beneficial. I also have Extreme Speed. Again, if he wants to do Trick Room stuff, I'll have the priority on my side. And Iron Head just for extra damage onto any of the rock types. And finally, I'm running Dracloak. Now, Dracloak has Eviolite for a little extra bulk, as well as Rest, Curse, Breaking Swipe, Helping Hand set. Now, the thought on this is, if he decides to go Registeel in the late game and try to stall me out with the Iron Defense, Rest, Body Press, Iron Head type deal, I will be able to stall it out even more by cursing it, which Rest does not remove. I can rest up on my own, and I could start lowering its attack with Breaking Swipe. If it's not Clear Body for some reason. This would be a very stally endgame. It would probably take us to timer, but in the end, because I have the curse on him, I would be able to stall him out successfully. Hopefully it doesn't get there, but let's get to the match and take a look. Alright, so starting off with game 1, it looks like he brought Tyranitar, Togekiss, Luxray, Claydol, Registeel, and Lycanroc. So I see immediately that there's no Virizion, which I'm very relieved about, because that was probably the mon I was most scared of. Did damage into Rillaboom, Terrakion, pretty much everything. Since he brought his Sandcore, I know that Rillaboom looks really good. It's really only the Togekiss I have to get rid of. And Registeel, it can't do much damage into, but I'm not too worried about it. Luxray could be annoying for Intimidates, but again, I don't like it. Can throw off some Baby Doll Eyes, but as far as damage, it really doesn't do too much into my team. So I go with my plan. I decided to lead Persian and Terrakion, and I decided to bring Rapidash in case he wants to do Claydol Trick Room stuff, because now the mon I'm most scared of is Claydol. I think this is a mistake, as you'll see a little bit later. Rapidash really doesn't do much in this situation. Like, not having Trick Room up is nice, but even if he did do Trick Room, Weakness Policy, Claydol stuff, Rillaboom can come in and just clean that up. Alright, so let's see what he led off with. He leads Togekiss Lycanroc. Pretty unsurprisingly that he leads Togekiss. It really shuts down Terrakion. Now, I know here he's probably going to want to follow me. He can't risk a beat up at this point, and I really want to scout out if he is Charty Berry. And it's pretty safe. I don't need to fake out anything. Lycanroc's probably going to protect in this situation anyway, since he should assume that I have fake out. I can also consider a max from Togekiss, but I have Rapidash in the back, so I'm not super worried about it. So I decided just to throw off some damage into Togekiss, go for a Rock Slide, which also, if Lycanroc is sashed, it will break the sash. At this point I don't know, even though it actually said a little bit earlier that he was on an air balloon, but I didn't see that during the game. Togekiss follows Mies, and he does reveal to be Charty Berry, so Power Gem comes in handy. It does basically no damage, but a nice 10%, 8% maybe. And Terrakion connects both Rock Slides, which does pretty good damage into Lycanroc. I see that it does about 40%, and now I see the air balloon, which I hadn't seen before. So I know from now on that he's not sashed. Also, he's not any kind of like Rindo Berry or Chople Berry. At this point, Lycanroc did a Swords Dance, so it's scary, but if it Dynamaxes, then I can just bring out Rillaboom. I really want to make sure that this Togekiss is gone. I'm a little scared that Togekiss is going to protect, but I decide that a Rock Slide, I'm going to be faster than Lycanroc anyway, so I'll be able to get some damage off on it. Togekiss just goes for a Follow Me, and Lycanroc doesn't Dynamax, which is very interesting to me. I'm wondering if he wanted me to Dynamax into Togekiss so he could get Sand Rush, but since I wasn't going for it, he decided not to. But because he doesn't Dynamax, he takes another 40-45% on Lycanroc. Goes for a Drill Run, he hits, and he is going to knock out Terrakion. So now we have a +2 Lycanroc on the field, but he's not speed boosted, and we know he's faster than Terrakion. And if you remember, Terrakion's not max speed either. So I'm not too worried about Lycanroc at this point. Thinking about bringing in Rapidash here, but at this point, Lycanroc's still it's still a little scary. Rapidash probably outspeeds, but might as well go for a Grassy Glide on it. I'm thinking he probably has Tyranitar in the back as his Dynamax option. He brings out Claydol. So Rillaboom looks really good here. Again, I'm still worried about Trick Room shenanigans. I have Rapidash in the back to reverse anything. I decided to go for a beat up here onto Lycanroc. I know that I have Rillaboom, which has pretty good attack, and I have Rapidash, which has decent attack as well. So I'm hoping that it does the 10% I need into Lycanroc, so I can Grassy Glide into Claydol. Maybe break a Sash onto Claydol at this point, or if it's Rindo Berry, I'd get some more information. Decided Dynamax, might as well. This is probably a misplay, because if it beat up didn't kill, if beat up doesn't kill Lycanroc, then Lycanroc can do pretty good damage into Rillaboom with like either a close combat or I think even a rock move should probably do good damage. He could have Excel Rock too if he had that. Beat up does pick up the KO though, luckily. And Grassy Glide comes out. The other reason why I Drum Soloed over Grassy Glide is if he was Rindo Berry, I figured it would probably KO through. And if he was Sash, it wouldn't have made a difference. I still feel like Grassy Glide probably was the better play. If he had, if he was Sash, I would have been in some trouble next turn, because I wouldn't have lost my priority. I'm expecting T-Tar to come out here because he already brought out Lycanroc, so I'm thinking in my head, okay, he has one half of the Sand Core, he probably wanted the other one so he could outspeed Terrakion. But instead Registeel comes out. And at this point, I think to myself, I was so fixated on Tyranitar coming out that I really didn't consider Registeel. So at this point, I am sweating, because I have no super effective damage except for Burning Jealousy on Persian. And Persian does no damage. I decided to go for a Burning Jealousy here. It was kind of dumb on my part, because I thought Burning Jealousy would burn if he sets up at all. I realized like 2 seconds later that it's actually if he had set up before me. So this Burning Jealousy is really not going to do anything. And I just glide into him. I want as much damage into this Registeel as fast as possible, because I know at this point it's really going to come down to crits. Burning Jealousy comes off, and it turns out to be Weakness Policy. In my head, I was expecting either Choppleberry or Chesto Berry or Leftovers. Any of those would have made sense to me, or even Occaberry. But Weakness Policy Registeel, I was not expecting that. So now he's +2 attack, +2 special attack, and +2 defense. So I know that at this point, okay, game's over. I have lost. So I'm like, okay, I'm already in game 2 mode. So I'm like, okay, how can I change this? I know I have Entei in the back. That should be able to do damage into it, but I know he is Iron Defense, so he's not going to be able to really KO Registeel even if he gets Iron Defenses up. And since he's Weakness Policy, if I start throwing Fire type attacks into him and it's not going to do the damage anyway, I don't want him to get the boost. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe I bring Dracloak in the back. He is going to Dynamax eventually. This is interesting on his part because it's actually saving himself some information. We'll see that I believe he Steel Spikes here, but that makes me wonder, is he special or physical? I would think he's physical because they tend to be more physical than anything, but he could be Flash Cannon, and it would actually be a little bit more scary because Flash Cannon gets some special attack drops, or special defense drops rather. So I'm considering that. He does go for a Max Knuckle, and that makes me think that he is physical at this point. So I feel a little bit better. If he was special Flash Cannon, he probably could have 1v1 Dracloak, but now that I assume he's physical, I feel much more confident bringing it. So I know that I liked Terrakion and Persian in the front. Rillaboom did good damage into everything, so I think my only change is I want to swap Rapidash for Dracloak game 2. I decided to swap in Rapidash here. I know that it's not going to do any damage into Registeel. Might as well just sack it and try to get a Grassy Glide crit later on the line. Persian's my only real damage, so who knows, maybe it can get a crit with Burning Jealousy, but at this point I know it's over. Super cool tech though. Weakness Policy is not something you see very often. I know he has an Iron Steel move at this point because Rapidash shuttered. He does Steel Spike at this point, so confirming the Steel move once again. Don't know if it's physical or special at this point, but I'm really assuming that it's physical. Especially since that picked up the KO through the Babiri Berry. Even at +3, Steel Spike from Registeel really doesn't do as much damage as you might expect. Yeah, it's not the strongest mon. bring out Persian here again. I was really hoping that he would have Max Knuckled, trying to get greedy that turn, so I could have saved Rapidash for another turn and then stalled out its Dynamax completely and could cycle Fake Outs. But unfortunately, he made the Steel Spike prediction, which was good on his part. Grassy Glide here. Again, I'm just going for crits at this point. I've already figured out my plan for game 2, and now I'm just trying to preserve information. It's really important, if you ever get in this situation, that you don't want to just forfeit immediately. I know that this game's over. There's basically no chance. I would have to get like 2 or 3 crits in a row just to pick up this KO. And the chances of that happening are 0 to none. But I want to use this time to reflect on the decisions I made this game and try to prep for how I can change it the next game. I also don't want to show him any more information than I already have, and I want to get as much information out of him. Like, I'd really like to see his 4th move. I'm guessing it is Rest at this point, but I want to, if he can show it to me, that's even better. I also want to see if there's any confirmation between physical and special. So let's see. Also, he could be Seismic Toss or Body Press at this point, because all he showed was a Max Knuckle. Iron Defenses again, which, to be honest, I think you're just setting yourself up for crits at that point. You know, I'm already doing 0 damage into you. So I'll try. Try again. Go for another crit. 1 in 24. Not the worst odds. I think a crit probably would have killed at this range. And he does show to be Body Press, which picks up the kill finally. So he wins game 1. Regi steal 1v3s, which is pretty crazy. Alright, and on to game 2. Alright, on to game 2. So at this point, I've already thought about my game plan I want to do for this game. I know that I want to do Persian, Terrakion, Rillaboom, and Drakeloak in the back. At this point, I'm just kind of double checking things. I'm like, he could... Togekiss was still an issue if he leans more to the Togekiss, which I didn't really get much information on except for Follow Me. It could be dangerous. So I think I'm just going to bring Drakeloak, and I'm checking, like, could I bring Entei? But if he gets some Iron Defenses off, I'm just going to proc that Weakness Policy and not going to be able to kill it. So I feel comfortable going Drakeloak. Even if it's Rest, I have Rest on mine, so I can outstall it to go to timer. And we'll see what he picks. Okay, let's see what he leads this time. So he leads the same leads, Togekiss, Lightning Rock. Both shiny, very nice. I'm thinking if he wants to do the same thing this time, that's fine. A Drill Run shouldn't kill Tyranitar. But I actually misplay here. I decide to fake out and close combat Lycanroc. I know it's not Sash, so I know I can just pick up an easy KO right here. My thinking is that since he probably didn't change anything from last time, since he knows Registeel can just wall my team. So my thought process was, if I just get rid of Lycanroc, he'd probably just bring out Registeel and try to use the opportunity to set up Iron defenses, which is fine. I want him to have that false sense of comfort, but I think this was actually a misplay, because if he had brought anything but Lycanroc out, or anything but Registeel out the next turn, it could have put itself in a pretty dangerous situation. So Lycanroc does go down. Yep. Also, I figured Togekiss might protect that turn. I think I should have just targeted the Togekiss. Like I said, Lycanroc couldn't have killed Terrakion at neutral, especially since it looks like it does have a little bit of bulk in it. And the damage onto Togekiss would be so much more worth than letting the Registeel just set up, even though it's not doing anything to me. I know at this point I don't want to Burning Jealousy into it. I need to work really hard not to proc its weakness policy. So I'm just going to do damage into Togekiss at this point. Should have been doing that last time, but that's okay. Proc the Charty Berry with Power Gem just like planned. Do another 8% or so. Rock Slide comes out. It hits both, but I really only need to hit Togekiss. I know that Registeel really doesn't matter. I actually crit the Togekiss here, which is really nice. I think it made up for my mistake on turn 1. And just like I predicted, Registeel is going to start setting up Iron defenses. But I mean, it really didn't have to. It could have just started body pressing into things. It could have been really scary, really fast. That's why I feel like turn 1 was a misplay. Persian really has no reason not to beat up this next turn, is what I'm thinking. There's not much he can bring out that really would scare me. But he brings out Luxray, gonna bring me to -1. So at this point, I know I just need to really, I need to hit down the Luxray. If it starts baby dolling, Izing, or anything else, it could be annoying. But it's not really going to do any damage into anything. I'm going to swap Rillaboom. I'm going to swap Persian out for Rillaboom at this point. I want to set up a coaching on it so that Registeel can't do much on it. I think this was also a misplay in hindsight. It was safe, but I could have easily just beat up Terrakion and either close combated or rock slid into Luxray. Even at, it would have been at +2 still, which would have done good damage, because after the attack drop and baby doll eyes. But that's okay. The extra defense onto Rillaboom is going to help. Registeel's at +4 now. Rillaboom's at +1 attack, +1 defense. And Terrakion's at -1 defense, -1 special defense because of the close combat. This lets me set up a second coaching. It's probably just going to negate the baby doll eyes, but at least it'll get the defense boost. And I can start putting off damage into Luxray now. Again, I'm just trying to take out the Luxray. I know that Registeel is probably walled by Dracloak. So I can just kind of work around it. Even if it kills the rest of his team, I'm just trying to play this safe. He probably feels pretty good about this right now. He could kill Terrakion right now too by going for Body Press, but he actually decides to max. That's fine. If he starts setting up steel spikes to get them the defense boost a little bit more. That's okay. I really don't want him to get knuckles though. If he starts getting the knuckle boost, it could get kind of scary. You know, even without weakness policy, if he gets to +3, that could be pretty tough. Grassy Glide does pretty good damage, but with the Citrus Berry, I know it's not going to be another, or it could be another a 2-hit KO, but he's probably, either he max Knuckles here and gets an attack boost where I can knock out the Luxray, or he Steel Spikes, which he does opt to Steel Spikes, so that means Luxray has another turn on the field. Because they both get a defense boost. This is just kind of the stally part of the turn, the game. You know, they're both getting grassy glide, grassy terrain recovery. I'm just trying to sit here and hang out. I really want to get rid of his Dynamax so I can bring in Dracloak as safely as possible. So I bring a Persian. I know I can just fake out the Luxray and Grassy Glide into it, and between those two, I should be able to kill it the following turn. I think about beating up, but I say, I'll fake out, so at least I get a little bit more damage, because I won't be Baby Doll-eyed this turn. Probably didn't matter. I think it was a 2-hit KO anyway. Since Rillaboom's at +2 defense though, I'm also not too worried about getting killed by Registeel. Hasn't gotten any attack boost yet, and it's only really bulky. I will fake out. So the Grassy Glide can do some damage. He's flinched, so he can't Baby Doll-eyes me, and he is going to Knuckle this time, which I didn't think about in the past, but I guess was kind of scary. He is at +1 now, which, you know, you want to keep him as low as possible. I know that he can Knuckle again. I will live another Knuckle. Luxray will go down the next turn to a Grassy Glide. I could U-turn, but I don't think it would pick up the KO, so I just Grassy Glide. And I do think about keeping in Persian. I know I can live another one, but I really don't want him getting to +2 Knuckle. So I'm just hoping that he doesn't Knuckle into Persian again. I can't bring Dracloak. Even if I was trying to predict a Knuckle, I could bring in Dracloak and try to absorb it. But the damage, if I got it wrong, wouldn't be worth it. Because remember, if I have to be at above 50% to be able to curse. So whatever he kills now, if anything, off of a crit or whatever, at least I'd be able to bring Dracloak in safely. Just beat up Registeel. It's like negligible damage, but you know, it's not proccing a weakness policy. That's what matters. Does go for Steel Spike into Persian, which is totally fine. I'd rather him attack the Mon that's doing nothing for me than anything else. Not too sure why he wants to attack Persian, especially since it has the only move that can proc the weakness policy on him. But I guess Rillaboom is pretty bulky at this point. Yeah, we can see he's at +1 attack, +2 defense, and Registeel's at +1 attack, +6 defense. And one more turn of Grassy Terrain. So I could swap it out if I want to. I decide to just max, try to get some chip damage off to it. You never know, you might get a crit and do some good damage. Some beat up damage onto Registeel. Maybe he'll KO Persian this turn, that'd be nice. He seems to be pretty adamant on attacking into it too. Got Dynamax. Could probably take 2 crits to kill him, or maybe 1 crit and some sustained damage. Maybe he wouldn't be able to kill me before my Grassy Lights kill him, but it would definitely take a crit. The other reason I do this is I would rather him not get the leftover recovery at this point from the terrain than the 1.3 times damage that I would get from it. So I'm okay just maxing instead of switching Rillaboom back in to get the terrain. It's just hurting me at this point. Body Press, even though I'm max, still does quite a bit of damage. Grass does go away, as we expected. Just throw off some more drum solos. At this point, he seems pretty adamant on attacking Rillaboom, especially since it's the only thing doing damage. So I feel pretty safe bringing in Drake-Loak. It was probably a little bit impatient of me. I could have just waited, but he does body press into Persian, and I actually get it in safely, luckily. If he had Iron-Headed or Flash Cannon that turn, because we still don't know if he's special, it could have been very scary. If he is special, at least he wouldn't get any benefit from the attack boost. I'm able to throw off a curse into him. It's going to cut my health in half, but it's going to put the curse on him, so he'll have to take damage every 25% every turn. And he does confirm that he's physical, which is good to know. Does a lot of damage. At this point, I'm thinking, okay, I can just get my health back by resting up. If he'll probably do the same. But that's okay. Gonna Grassy Glide. Maybe I'll get a crit again. And at this point, I look and I see I really don't have Rest. I forgot to put it on. I put Will-O-Wisp on instead of Rest. So I'm freaking out right now. Because I'm thinking, if he has Rest, which he most likely does, I've lost. I can't stall him out, even with Curse. Rillaboom needs crit damage, but even more than that. So I decided to Will-O-Wisp. It'll cut his body presses in half at least. Grassy Glide will come out and doesn't get a crit. Body press into Rillaboom. Does another serious chunk of damage, and I know I can't even switch out to get like leftover recovery. Curse takes a nice 25% off, which puts him really close to range. Especially if I know at this point, if I crit him absolutely, then I've won. Probably should have Breaking Swipe there just to get another shot off at cursing. Decide the Helping Hand. I think maybe it will be in range with a Helping Hand. And it's not. So now I'm praying. He goes for Iron Head, which is super relief to me. Even though Drake-Loak goes down, I know he's going to go down to burn. If he had Rest that turn, I think I would have lost. I don't know if he had Rest, but I was super relieved. That mistake could have cost me the game very, very easily. So I saved myself. We go on to the third game. Alright, and on to the last battle. Somehow we survived the Regi steal, not having Rest. Our mistake of not having Rest on Drake-Loak somehow paid off. If he had Rest, I think it would have been game over, game 2. If he did and Drake-Loak had Rest, it would have gone to timer, and I should have won because of Curse. I decided this time to bring Entei instead of Drake-Loak, mainly because he knows that Drake-Loak walls Registeel now. So what Entei can do is it has super effective fire damage with the charcoal, so it should be able to pick up big damage on Registeel before it starts setting up. And it can also burn anything that he adjusts to, like T-Tar. Let's see what he decides to go with. really disappointed that Rapidash Galar didn't put in more work. I feel like if he had brought Virizion or Gallade, it probably would have gotten multiple KOs, but unfortunately did not get its time to shine. Alright, he has selected. Okay, let's see what his lead's gonna be. I'm guessing Togekiss. He might just go I don't think he, yeah, Togekiss, Registeel. Lycanroc wasn't working for him, so this makes sense. Now, Registeel is in. I have Entei in the back. I really don't want this thing to set up, so I'm just gonna fake out Togekiss and close combat right into Registeel because Entei is only reliant on getting big damage before it sets up. Since Sacred Fire is physical, if he sets up too much, it's just gonna steamroll me again, so I can't let that happen. He might reveal Protect here, but I can't risk it, I think. If he protects, then Togekiss Dazzling Gleams probably, picks up a KO, I get a free switch into Entei, I can max Entei and get damage there. So I'm okay with a trade. Yeah, he maxes Togekiss. This fairy move into Terrakion would probably be his best play. Fake out, does nothing. Yep. Close combat. Does a nice 85%. Which is fantastic. Procs weakness policy, but unless he's Iron Head, I mean, again, if he's Iron Heading into Terrakion, then I get a free switch out, and Registeel's dead, so he max Starfalls into Persian, which procs by Roselli Berry. I'm really surprised he didn't go into Terrakion. Maybe he thought the Roselli Berry was on Terrakion since he hasn't seen an item. Misty Terrain's up, so now I need to note that I can't burn anything with Sacred Fire. He Iron Defenses, but at this point, another close combat will just kill him. And since I already procced weakness policy, I mean, he's definitely going to go after Terrakion now. He's -1. He just dies. So I can Burning Jealousy twice and pick up a KO on Registeel. Or if he knocks out Persian, then I can Coaching the Entei as it comes in. So my best bet would definitely be to Burning Jealousy. You know what would an interesting play is actually beat up Terrakion and Rock Slide, but that's dependent on Rock Slide hitting. So yeah, Burning Jealousy plus Protect is probably the best play. Time out there, but I was going for Protect anyway. Because I have the Chardy Berry, I wonder if that would have worked. Max Starfalls into Terrakion. He actually gets the crit here, the 1 out of 8, because he's most likely Super Luck. So that's a little bit of revenge for me critting Togekiss earlier. That is going to matter though, because we've only seen Helping Hand, or we've only seen Follow Me and now a Fairy move, most likely D-Gleam. And he could have Air Slash. So, because he crit me, a max Airstream would be his best play to get the speed and the kill on Terrakion. It also covers for any kind of switch out I'm going to make. But I'm actually going to switch into Entei. At this point, Entei was really for Registeel. And since Registeel is going to die, assuming right now, with Burning Jealousy, Entei is actually expendable. And if he goes for another max Starfall, then this is going to do no kinds of damage. Yep. Terrakion doesn't need to be healthy, it just needs to be alive. Nice. So Registeel's dead. The biggest obstacle. Max Starfall comes out into Entei, and this is going to do nothing. Nice, nice. Let's see who he brings out. Yeah, it's really fortunate that he didn't airstream there if he had it, because he would have been faster. And, you know, because it's so defensive, actually, that's okay. Because Terrakion should still be faster than a +1 max defense Togekiss. Sounds out Claydol. Really surprised to see that, to be honest. Maybe he was thinking... Maybe it's slow Terrakion? Under Trick Room? Rillaboom should still take care of that. It could have Ice Punch. We know the weakness policy is on Registeel. I'm just gonna Iron Head into, which is actually a misplay. I should be Sacred Firing into Togekiss. It would do more than the Iron Head, believe it or not. Yeah, go for Iron Head. It's Togekiss. But that should have been Sacred Fire. Follows me, that's fine. I'll proc that Chardy Berry, but you know, get a little bit of chip. I know the Claydol's not Sash, so I didn't have to worry about popping the Sash or anything. And he sets Trick Room. He's actually Room Service, so he's Speed Fell. That's super interesting. He must have been trying to underspeed my Copperajah. Yeah, that's super interesting. See, I would never bring Copperajah here because of the Brizion that I was already scared of. Just gonna protect Entei here. Waste a turn, trying to get a free sack onto Persian. If he doesn't die, then it's just extra chip with Power Gem. Deaglink comes out. Persian goes down. That's a free switch into Rillaboom. Nice. So now what I can do here is I can... He knows I want a Grassy Glide, or Claydol can die to Grassy Glide, so if I fake out Claydol, Togekiss, who's only shown Dazzling Gleam so far, can't do much. If he Air Slashes into Rillaboom, it shouldn't kill. So yeah, I should faking out into Claydol and Sacred Firing into Togekiss is definitely the play. I'm gonna misplay slightly and Iron Head into Togekiss because I forget how much Sacred Fire actually does between Stab and Charcoal. Plus a burn is always nice. He followed these. It's a good move. Claydol flinches. Iron Head comes out. Doesn't pick up the KO. Again, if I had Sacred Fired either of those two times, Togekiss would have died. But now I can just Grassy Glide into Claydol, which has +1 priority, and I know E-Speed has +2 priority, so Togekiss can go out. Even if he follow me's, this should be a double KO, unless he shows Protect at some point. Which, surprisingly, he hasn't protected once in all 3 matches, so I'm wondering if he either doesn't have Protect or just doesn't know quite when to use it. There hasn't been a great opportunity for him to use it, though. It's not. Maybe on some of the fake out plays. But now it's just a question of what's in the back. Tyranitar probably would be the scariest, especially if it's under Trick Room, which should be one more turn of Trick Room, I believe, after this. So they get a double to KO there. Togekiss goes down to E-Speed. Rillaboom KOs Claydol. That was safe because we now know that the item is Room Service, and we already checked that it wasn't Sash or Rindoberry. So yeah, if the last one turns out to be Luxray, we'll get a -1 Intimidate. So that'll drop our attacks. If the last one had been Tyranitar, I think we would have still been fine. We have... Oh yeah, we have Terrakion in the back still. So close combat with that should have KO'd. I wonder if the Sash was on Tyranitar. That would have been interesting. Sash counter would have been... Does it get counter? I feel like it gets counter for some reason. At this point, I just need to do chip into Luxray. It's not going to have much to KO me. He actually hasn't maxed, so he could max here. Or no, he maxed Togekiss at the beginning. I haven't maxed, so I could max. I do max. Might as well. Max Flare will negate the Intimidate. At this point, the match is pretty much over. Let's see. So, some post-match reflection. I really need to be sure to check my sets. The fact that we didn't have rest on Draclo could have, like, absolutely lost me the set, but ignoring that, it was so fun to use Curse on Registeel. Like, you just never see that in a VGC setting. The Power Gem on Persian to proc a Chartyberry, I think really saved us. What else? A couple misplays with Entei, a misplay with Terrakion. I think other than that, it was pretty much fine. I didn't really start covering for Protects towards the end because he just doesn't have Protect, or he doesn't really use it very much, so I was kind of okay going for aggressive plays just based on his playstyle. I don't regret bringing Rapidash Galar. I think had he had different Mons, such as the Virizion, it would have been a totally different game and we would have needed it. Probably shouldn't have brought up game 1 though. Dracloak or Entei was definitely the better play. You know, Registeel is always going to come out. I don't know why I didn't think of that. So I'm just trying to get damage off into Luxray now. I figured it's gonna take a while with him just baby dollizing, but Rillaboom actually just seals the deal right here with a crit. He doesn't want anything to do with the Intimidates and baby doll eyes. And that'll seal the game. Other than that, I mean, Tyros played a really good game. It was a good week 1. We're both getting a feel for our teams. GG to him. Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys like this, I'm going to be trying to put out another game next week. It's against the #1 ranked player in our division right now. And then week after that, I should be starting playoffs in a Hackmon League, so I think I'll be putting out a video for that. Alright guys, see you next week.